What's up, everybody? Alex here. Welcome back. Hope you're all doing well. Well, I guess it depends when you're watching this, but for me, it's a happy Friday. Cheers. Beatles Vinyl Tag 2024. Now, we are in the season as it sits right now of a lot of different vinyl tags going on. First and foremost, this has just been so awesome. I said in my previous video that as a newer member of the community, I was just really looking forward to this. And yeah, it's met my wildest expectations. I loved doing the video. I've loved watching everybody else's videos. There's a lot of new subscribers, and for those who watch me, you probably know this. And for anybody new watching, I don't ask for subs or likes or any of those different things. Yeah, it's fun, but really this for me is just about a place to meet people and connect about music, because that's what I want to do, and I think that's what we all should want to do. So a lot of different vinyl tags going on. There's the official one, then that Rob Walker created, then there's an alternative one, and then there's all these sort of niche ones that have spouted off a little bit. So there's a punk one, a metal one, a jazz one, and now there's a Beatle one that was started and created by Rachel's Ghost. And I'm gonna do my best to participate in it. Now, I'm intimidated by this. I am not gonna lie. I'm setting this up because Beatle fans intimidate me. I mean, I'm someone who I love the Beatles, but even the amount of love I have doesn't match anywhere near the amount of love and knowledge and experience that so many people have with the Beatles. And I just, I try to learn as much as I can, but this was not a band I grew up with. They were not a band that I got into early in life. I mean, my evolution with the Beatles sort of went from, respect to appreciation to admiration to now, just love. And I also recognize that is not the way that a lot of people got into the group and the members. So bear with me. I'll do my best. I think I can do the thread or the tag. So, but just know I'm not a Beatle expert, and I don't pretend to be, but also I always want to learn more. So, jump in the comments or whatever, correct me. I'm sure I'll say something wrong. I'll fuck up somewhere. But yeah, just wanted to do my part, participate, support Rachel's channel and the Beatle community. And again, just kind of do these tags because they're so much fun. So here we go. There are 11 questions here. And so we're going to start right off. So the Beatles album, or what Beatles album do you own the most copies of in any format or combination of formats? So I'm a vinyl guy. I'm beer and vinyl. If I started collecting, CDs, I'd have to change my name to beer and vinyl and CDs, and that's just way too much work. So I'm a vinyl guy, and I'm a bit of a crate digger. I that's kind of my way of doing a lot of things. So I've amassed a pretty good Beatles collection that does have a lot of duplicates of maybe some different pressings. So it was actually a tie for me between Sgt. Pepper and then Revolver. But for the sake of this, I'll show my copies of Revolver. So it's a total of 5 different ones. Some that are kind of special, I guess. Other ones that are just very generic, not in great shape, but still fun to have. So this is kind of a really funny one off the bat. I got this out of a dollar bin. What's funny here is you can actually see the sleeve is that it's a stereo, but the actual record itself is actually a mono. So, I don't know. That means nothing, but I think it's kind of funny and kind of cool. So, I got that. Also, I guess these are 2 original 66 stereos. One's a Scranton pressing, and I think the other one's an LA pressing for those pressing people out there. Which is a ton of fun. This was the latest, I think, stereo release that came out in 2022, part of the Giles Martin sort of stuff, but stereo, I guess that was a year and a half ago or so. And then this one, which is fun because I know that this is kind of I don't know, I guess a grail or something everybody's looking for, everybody wants or whatever. And that's just the single release of the mono, I believe, from 2014 or 2012 that these came out. Part of that mono set that everybody wanted, and the only way that you could get it is from there. I remember buying this off of somebody when I first started collecting records several years ago, and it was, maybe 15 or 20 bucks. And I said, yeah, well, of course I do. I had no idea what it was. And then doing the research into what it was this mono release that everybody wanted for so long, and then it was part of like the box set that came out last year or whatever. So yeah, those are the 5, just some fun different things. So there's that. Show a Beatles bootleg is the second question. Well, we can kind of get into, the bootleg, but I mean, arguably the band that sort of started this whole fascination with bootlegs. It's funny because like when I hear bootleg, I distinguish a bootleg from something that's just like counterfeit, but I don't actually have a bootleg. So I'll show like the original counterfeit album, and a lot of you know where I'm going. It's introducing the Beatles. So there's a lot of great videos and research and stuff out there how to spot like a fake one versus a real one of this record. It's something like 99% of the ones that are in stereo that say stereophonic. 99% of these are fake. There's a whole bunch of stuff about sort of the shirts, especially I think on George's shirt and the coloration of it. The other thing too is, if you look at like the ring and the spindle hole based on where the brackets are, you can see there's not a ton of coloration that would be there on like, it's just sort of dull. You got the red with a little bit of yellow, and then it's just kind of just dull around. So there's all types of different ways that you can tell a counterfeit or a fake pressing, but I think for this, I think people use like counterfeit, unofficial, bootleg, sort of all in the same way. So yeah, I'll go with that because I don't have any actual like bootlegs or anything like that of any Beatles stuff. Number 3, show the last Beatles album that you bought. Had to kind of look this up in Discogs. Like, when was the last thing I added? And yeah, I did add at some point last year. I got the Let It Be big box set. 5 LPs, I think? Yeah, the 5 LP edition. This was something that was a part of, I believe it was Acoustic Sounds, was doing some kind of like end of the year mega sale. And so, I mean, I got this for something like 70 or 75% off. Like, it was a steal. I do that with a lot of these box sets just because typically they do go down in price. Not always, and you can, cry later. But yeah, I did end up picking this up, and I love it, but it was for a really good price. So I think I added at some point, maybe last summer I did that. So yeah, that was the last Beatles album I purchased. All right. Show a solo album from your favorite Beatle. Well, my favorite Beatle is George. And, the first thing that came to mind was showing this because this is my favorite Beatles solo record. This is one of my favorite albums of all time. Love this record. But I started thinking, and I guess I'm going to cheat by showing 2, is I'll show sort of the companion piece, and that's Concert for Bangladesh. That came out a year later, 1971. I think, I don't know if this ever got an actual reissue. I don't know if they've done like a whole like, deep dive into something like this. I think they should. But a beautiful concert. His band was amazing. He had the Badfinger band backing him. Bob Dylan was doing stuff. Billy Preston was doing stuff. Just an incredible band. Obviously, Ravi Shankar is there doing all this stuff and just for a great cause, obviously. So, I guess I'm showing this because everybody loves this and we see this a lot and it's amazing. I love this. And then we don't show this or talk about this one enough. So yeah, I'll show Concert for Bangladesh as my pick for an album from my favorites Beatle. This is this is question number 5. Show a non-USA or non-UK Beatles album. This is a shout out to my buddy Rob up at Northern Revolutions. He'll appreciate this, as well as maybe a lot of the Canadian viewers out there will appreciate this. But this is Twist and Shout. This was the second Beatles record released in Canada, and I think most of this was just Please Please Me from the UK that ends up on this record. But I believe this only came out mono 63, and this is like the Canadian only release. But it's a cool thing to have. I think I saw it in a store. Just thought it would be a cool addition since stuff here in the States. This was not a part of the catalog. So yeah, Twist and Shout 63, a Canadian only release. All right, question number 6. Show a Beatles single or EP. Well, I thought this would be kind of cute. People might know I'm not a huge singles collector or a 45 or 7 inches or EP or 10 inches, anything like that. But I do have a handful of them, and I thought this was a kind of a cool way to do it. We'll start with, I guess, sort of where it began in the States-ish, at least on Capitol, with I Want to Hold Your Hand. Of course, with the B-side of I Saw Her Standing There. And then, we'll sort of end it with this past year's latest single, Now and Then. So yeah, those are the 2, Beatles singles that I'll show. Just a kind of a cool beginning and end, obviously. Love Me Do is what was the real beginning, but you know what I'm getting at here in the States. So yeah, cool 7 inches. Let's see here. Number 7, show an album that features a Beatles cover song. This was the first thing that came to mind. I freaking love this record. This band took a huge, I think, risk on this. And I bet when this came out, people were like, what the fuck are these guys doing? A debut record at the height of psychedelia, 1967. And they're basically going to do a covers album of all half-speed psychedelic cover versions of songs. I'm going with the debut from Vanilla Fudge. Of course, Carmine, A Piece, Mark Stein, Tim Bogert and friends, everybody doing their stuff. But it opens the record with Ticket to Ride and closes it with Eleanor Rigby. Weird, slowed down, super psychedelic, trippy versions of those songs. I remember the first time I heard Ticket to Ride, I thought it was a joke. But then it was like, this is so weird. But I love this record, and I'm going to love those cover versions of those songs. So yeah, go with Vanilla Fudge debut, opening with Ticket to Ride, and then closing out side 2 with Eleanor Rigby. Question number 8. Show an album where one of the Beatles guest starred on it. Well, anytime I get a chance to show this band, I will show this band. There's a bunch of Beatles connections to the band, how they started. They're on Apple Records. There were some songs that were written by Beatles members that ended up on records, all that kind of stuff. But I'm going with one of my favorite bands of all time. I'm going with Badfinger and the song Day After Day, which was not only produced by George Harrison, but features slide guitar by George as well. So straight up 1971, my favorite Badfinger album. And it features a lot of good, I think, work on there, but specifically Day After Day. George produced it, as well as providing slide guitar on there as well. This one I'm going to cheat a little bit on, I think. A non-album Beatles-related item, such as a book, a pillow, a mug, something like that. I don't have any swag. I don't have anything. I don't have a book. I don't read good. I don't have any swag. I wish I had a Beatles mug. I feel like everybody needs a Beatles mug, but I do not have one. So I'm going to cheat fully because I have this. I'm going to call it a book. And even though it's a book that came from a Beatles album, it's complicated. But what I'm showing is the fold out, 24-page book that came with Magical Mystery Tour. So I have a couple albums or a couple versions of Magical Mystery Tour, and then the random book without an album. So this sort of sits in a sleeve back there in the closet, I guess. But for sake of this tag, we're gonna say that this works. Even though it came from an album, we're gonna say it's a book, and yeah, we'll go with that. Thanks for hanging in there for that with us. Number 10, show us your favorite Giles Martin Beatles remix. This is where my fandom kind of like slows down a little bit because I do not pay attention as much as so many other people. But what I will say is this was another one of the, I guess, reissue box sets that found like cheap or whatever. And I really enjoy it. So I'm going to go with the Beatles or the White Album with the Esher demos. Love the demos and the additional sort of stuff on here. So yeah, I don't really get into like the mixes and how it sounds and the audio fidelity of it and, current mixes versus old mixes. That's not where I'm at as a listener, not only of the Beatles, but of many artists. But yeah, I've always thought they did a great job with this. And again, love those Esher demos and all that's included with this. So that is my pick there. And last question is, shout out a Beatles channel you'd like us to watch. Well, there's so many, and there's a lot in the vinyl community, but one of the, and most of you probably know this, but for me, the channel that I've learned the most from, I feel like every time I watch one of these episodes, it's like taking a class, and it's free education, but I think Andrew is his name over at Parlogram Auctions, just does these deep dives into the most minute details of Beatles, everything from singles to pressings to history to everything. And every time I watch one of those videos, just expertly edited, expertly sort of educated, I've learned so much about the Beatles and kind of the smallest, most detail-oriented things just from watching that video or those videos from Andrew at Parlogram Auctions. So yeah, that wraps up the Beatles, the vinyl Beatles tag. Rachel, hope you're proud. Of course, I will link not only Andrew at Parlogram Auctions channel below, but also Rachel at Rachel's Ghost below. And yeah, hope other people take part in this and would love to hear what you think. And it was just cool, again, to sort of participate in this, knowing that I had some of the stuff, and hope I didn't make a complete asshole of myself, which is usually a given. There you go. Peace was never an option. It's a duck or a goose carrying a knife. Remember. Shout out to my little sister for sending me this sweater. It's my favorite. All right, y'all. Take care, be good, and we'll see you on the next one. Cheers, y'all.